Oh, Jamar Chase with the dive. Because Garrett Wilson's wide open. Garrett Wilson, touchdown Barrett. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the video here on the What a Juice channel, and welcome back to another episode of Madden What If. That's right, the series is back. We took a little bit of a break because of some technical difficulties, but hopefully we can return to doing some Madden What If videos, because I really enjoy these videos, seeing some different alternate timelines of crazy things that could have happened in real life, but didn't. Obviously, they went one way. So now we get to look in the world of Madden, which not always is as accurate as you may want it to be, but we get to see maybe a little bit of an alternate history of what could have happened if events changed and something went another way. So you guys know the past videos that we've done. We've done what if the Seahawks ran the football on fourth down in the, was it fourth down? Whatever it was, in the Super Bowl against the Patriots. What if Aaron Rodgers was drafted to the 49ers instead of the Packers with Alex Smith? What if they swapped spots? We did RG3, what if he never got hurt? I think there might have been one more, I can't remember exactly. The playlist is linked down below in the description if you guys are curious about the previous What If videos. You can go back and take a look at them. Today's What If video, we are going to be following a more recent kind of result that maybe would have changed the history of the NFL if it went the way that we're going to take it. So, back in the spring of 2020, right as the world is kind of falling apart because of the COVID virus and all that kind of stuff, everybody's locked down, the whole world shut down. It was crazy. We all lived through it, so we all know what happened. I don't have to go into detail with it. But there was the NFL draft, the 2020 NFL draft. Obviously, it was done over Zoom with Roger Goodell in his basement, or what he called his basement. I don't know if it really was his basement or not. It might have just been a stage or something. I don't know. We'll never find out. So he did it from there. All of the coaches and GMs and front offices were over Zoom doing their draft coverage and stuff, picking the players and stuff. And one of those picks, the Philadelphia Eagles, with the 21st pick, I'm pretty sure, in the first round, they drafted Jalen Reagor from, I think, TCU in the 21st pick, passing over future All-Pro Justin Jefferson, who was still on the board and probably was the better choice. Obviously, we know now because of hindsight that Justin Jefferson was the right choice, but even back then in the draft, literally everybody knew that Justin Jefferson was the better choice than Jalen Reagor. Eagles, for some reason, chose Reagor, and the Vikings, there's an infamous video clip of the Vikings front office kind of like laughing and smiling on camera when they hear that the Eagles take Reagor instead of Justin Jefferson, because then the Vikings proceed to go and draft Justin Jefferson, and the rest is history. So, since that is what happened in real life, we are going to do what if the Eagles didn't pass on Justin Jefferson in 2020, and they eventually do take him in the first round, because then in that draft, in the second round, they take their eventual Super Bowl quarterback, Jalen Hurts. Now, we know that they didn't win the Super Bowl, but he did play in the Super Bowl and was a few plays away from probably winning it. Jalen Hurts in the second round from Oklahoma. So, in this video, we will try to recreate the 2020 draft with those two picks, and then I guess whoever else comes into play for us. But I've loaded in the 2020 draft class. We're going to simulate 5 years into the future, and we are going to see how much the Eagles team and the Eagles history changes in just this short amount of time. Because this only happened in 2020, so we've only been 3 years removed from it. So, in that time span, the Eagles have made a Super Bowl, and were really close to winning it. So could they have, if Justin Jefferson was on that team, would they have beaten the Chiefs? I don't know. We'll find out. How much of the Eagles roster that we know nowadays would have changed if they would have drafted Justin Jefferson instead of Jalen Hurts, because then if Justin Jefferson's on that team, does he improve them with a few more wins? And then does that mean that they are picking later in the draft the next couple of years, and they can't take people that they originally did take in the normal timeline? And then everything just falls. It's a domino effect. It's a huge, huge domino effect. So that is the subject of today's What If video. Hope you guys go and enjoy. If you do, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, join Juice Club. Thank you for stopping by, as always. Let's get into what if the Philadelphia Eagles drafted Justin Jefferson in 2020. So here we are. It is the year 2019, and I have done a lot of work to get this Eagles roster to almost exactly what they were in that season headed into the 2020 draft. So I tried my best to get everybody where they are. We had to create a few players. Alshon Jeffrey's not in Madden 23, so we had to create Alshon Jeffrey. Jay Ajayi's not in Madden 23. We had to create Jay Ajayi. Brandon Brooks, obviously retired, had to create Brandon Brooks. But this is the team, for the most part, of what they looked like that season. And then on defense, it's not a great defense. Obviously, their team nowadays is a lot better than what they were here. That's why they were picking where they were in 2020. We're going to find out, and you saw Carson Wentz on that team as well. This is one of his last years, because then they obviously draft Jalen Hurts. Carson Wentz goes away, Jalen Hurts steps in, Carson Wentz goes to Indianapolis, and then wherever he's at now, I don't even know. Well, actually, he goes to Washington, then Indianapolis. I'm pretty sure that's how that works. Right? He goes to Washington, then Indianapolis. I think that's how his career kind of went out. I don't know where he's at. He might still be in Indianapolis. I have no idea. But that is what we're going to be following today. Justin Jefferson. I do have the 2020 draft class put in there. So if we go to the prospects you saw right there, Joe Burrow, Chase Young, Jeff Okudah, Andrew Thomas, Tua, Justin Herbert, all the normal names that you guys recognize. Obviously, these are some of the top players in the NFL right now in real life. And then we go to wide receiver, and we go and look at right there, Justin Jefferson. That is our guy. That is who we are going to be taking. I'm going to add him to the favorites no matter what. This video is going to be about him, and then I'm also going to add Jalen Hurts as well, just because we probably need to take him too. So those are the only two guys that will add to my favorites. Those are the only two guys that are pretty much guaranteed to be on this team. Everybody else, if I end up getting some more picks or trade around, we could snag a couple other players. Remember, we're doing real-life draft classes up until probably the draft class that just happened, the 2023 one with Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, all those guys, and then we'll probably go into fake ones, because at that point you can't really guess who's going to be in, and it'll just be messed up from there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go real draft classes up until Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, then we'll do the fake ones for the next couple years or whatever. I think there'll only be 2 years after that, so it won't matter too much. Those guys really won't affect the teams and affect the simulation that much, but this is the first year, the 2019 season. We are going to simulate to the end of the year, find out how the Eagles do, and find out where we're drafting, and try to piece together how we're going to get Justin Jefferson. I'll see you guys at the end of the year, figuring out this first season, seeing how everybody did, and putting it together. We made it to the end of the first season here, the first season simulation, and we didn't make the playoffs. We finished at 8-9, last in the division, which is going to help us be able to get into a good position to draft Justin Jefferson and all that good stuff. I do want to find out, like, what are the stats, what everybody was doing. Carson Wentz, 4,300 yards, 27 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. Not that great, but I didn't expect much from Carson Wentz. That's why they drafted Jalen Hurts. 862 yards and 6 touchdowns for Miles Sanders. Jay Ajayi had 9 touchdowns. Good for him. 997 yards for Alshon Jeffrey with 7 touchdowns. Nelson Aguilar, 991, 5 touchdowns. Zach Ertz with 940 and 6 touchdowns. Dallas Goedert had 890 and 7. So everybody was kind of right around 1,000 yards, but nobody actually got it. And then defensively, 132 tackles from TJ Edwards, 109 from Avonte Maddox, 91 for Rodney McLeod, 89 for Rasul Douglas. Pretty interesting numbers there. Fletcher Cox had 19 tackles for loss. Brandon Graham had 16. Sack leader Josh Sweat with 8. Fletcher Cox with 7. 5.5 for Brandon Graham. Derek Barnett had 4.5. Interception leaders, Rasul Douglas had 5. LJ Fort had 3. So did TJ Edwards. Darby and Jenkins both had 2. So those are kind of the numbers for where we are sitting in year number 1, and now the more important thing is to get to the draft, because we got to draft Justin Jefferson to actually officially start this this whole what if video. I didn't want to start it the year after because I don't know, I felt like I would have to make all the rookies for that class. It just would have been hard. It would have been easier to do it here, so that's why I did it here. So Bills and Panthers actually in the Super Bowl. Very interesting. This is obviously the Tampa Bay Super Bowl win. I think, no. That's, what year is this the Chiefs Super Bowl win? Yeah, this is when the Chiefs win the Super Bowl in 2020, the beginning of 2020 in February, because that's right before the world collapses. I think that's how that works, right? I don't remember. I think that's how I think that's how it happened. It doesn't matter. It's not relevant. But we are going to simulate. And the reason why I'm Nick Sirianni is because he ends up becoming the coach the next season. But Doug Peterson is technically the coach right now, but I can't use Doug Peterson because he's actually coaching the Jaguars in this game. So it's fine. It's not a big deal. Sirianni becomes the coach pretty soon, so it's not a big deal that he is the coach. And the Panthers actually won the Super Bowl against the Bills. Bills have no luck in the Super Bowl. They cannot buy a win at all. Brian Burns is your MVP. Patrick Mahomes wins the MVP of the league. Cooper Kupp, Myles Garrett are the players of the year. Jalen Tolbert and Chad Muma are your offense defense rookies here, but those don't matter because those are the rookies from this year's class, so it doesn't really matter there. But we have a lot of money. We have $101 million in cap space. I wonder how that works. Whose contracts are messed up, or not messed up, but whose contracts are gone to where we have this amount of money. I'm very curious to see the books here. We have $114 million. Did we have players retire? That's a good possibility because a lot of our guys are old. Who is retiring from the Eagles? It doesn't look like there's anybody. Tom Brady actually retired. Aaron Rodgers retired. Okay. So we have Deshaun Jackson, Jason Peters, and Malcolm Jenkins. I'm pretty sure Malcolm Jenkins retires anyway after this season. So we had 3 guys go. That's a pretty good chunk of money retiring from those guys. So we have a lot of cap space to be able to work with here. We need to bring back Jason Kelsey. We need to bring back Brandon Graham. And we need to bring back maybe a couple other guys just to keep continuity reasons. But definitely Jason Kelsey. I know he doesn't want to be here, but we got a ton of money to be able to offer him a great contract. So I can even customize this even more. We got to bring Jason Kelsey back. I'd prefer to bring him back for the entirety of the rebuild. Or not rebuild, but the entirety of the simulation. So let's do that. I think he'll accept this. He's happy to come back. That might be a little bit of an overpay for Jason Kelsey, but I think he is worth it. Brandon Graham, we can offer a 3-year contract to. Unfortunately, you can't change the ages of the older players like this. Actually, you can. I just forgot to do that. I was going to say you can't change the players so that Brandon Graham is a few years older than what he would have been back then. It doesn't matter. It's not going to matter too much. Will he accept this contract? He appreciates the offer, but he's going to test free agency. What's his franchise tag? $21 million. I'm not going to pay $21 million for Brandon Graham, so we'll let him walk. TJ Edwards, we can offer a decent amount of money to. He'll come back. Yeah, he had enough interest where he wanted to come back. Boston Scott, Marcus Epps. I'll bring back Marcus Epps. He's not going to cost too much. We'll offer him that. He's coming back for 2 more seasons. Good on that. We could offer Boston Scott. Maybe we will. We'll offer Isaac Seumalo just because I like his game. I think he's a decent player. So we'll offer him that. He's coming back as well. We'll offer Andre Dillard. We'll offer him, and we'll give him a good contract, a reasonable contract. He's coming back. $78 million. Boston Scott. Do we want Boston Scott back? Nah, we can let Boston Scott walk. So we've got $78 million. We brought back all the people that I want to bring back so we can move to the next period, which is actual free agency. Now, I'm guessing that this free agency is going to be along the same lines of the normal free agency, so we're going to see a lot of the normal people. Yeah, so we got like Elton Jenkins, all these guys. These guys wouldn't have been the free agents in the real world or the alternate timeline, but it is what it is. And it's not even that great. It's not even that great of a class, so we're going to maybe save a lot of this money. I don't know. I guess we could take a look at what we need. Obviously, we're not going to need receiver because we're getting what's his face, Justin Jefferson. Very interesting top of the board. Joe Burrow, obviously the number 1 pick in real life. I don't know who's going to have the number 1 pick, but he will most likely be it. Henry Ruggs, we know what happened to him. There's Justin Jefferson. And I think because we didn't make the playoffs that we should have a pretty decent pick. What is the mock draft looking like? We have mock draft number 3. The Bears actually have the number 1 pick so far. Or, yeah, they do have the number 1 pick because we're in mock draft number 3. So the Bears actually have the number 1 pick. Bengals have the 4th pick, and it looks like they're going to take Justin Herbert instead of Joe Burrow, even though Joe Burrow is probably better than Justin Herbert. Where do we pick at? We pick at number 14, and they have us taking Justin Jefferson. Look at that. It's a match made in heaven. And the Patriots have Tua actually on the table there. We also have another pick, which is Jalen Hurts at 26. Because in real life, the Eagles have these 2 first-round picks. There's nothing I didn't want to trade the pick away, so we have 2 first-round picks. It's not a big deal. It's not going to matter too much as long as I take the guys that we were going to take anyway. So, free agency. Let me go to the lineup and see kind of what we're missing on this team. We're going to take Jalen Hurts. That's not a big deal. Miles Sanders. We could use an upgrade at running back more so than Miles Sanders. We're going to need Justin Jefferson at receiver. Offensive line looks pretty good. We could use an upgrade at left tackle or left guard, either one. And then on defense, we could basically use any position. Any position on defense is pretty much going to be needed, especially linebacker. So let's go to this free agent class and see kind of what the linebacking, what's the linebacker room looking like. Van Ginkel, not interested. No good middle linebackers. Cleveland Farrell, not really interested. There's not a whole lot of decent, although Farrell is star development. I'll give him an interesting deal. I'll give him a nice one. He wants to be here, at least he got interested in being here. If we bring in Cleveland Farrell, that'll be pretty cool. Trayvon Mullen, maybe? There are some interesting players here. Trayvon's only 25 with star development. That could be a nice pickup to help us in the cornerback room. And Trayvon, we're battling with the Broncos. I don't know if we'll get him or not. Free safeties, strong safeties. Jordan Poyer's 32, not interested really. Jonathan Abram is only 79 overall, but he's 26. That could help us out. How about a nice little 3-year deal for that? Nobody's really interested in him, and I think that's going to be our free agent period. There's not really a wide receiver that I want to bring in. No, there's not really a wide receiver that I want to bring in. Tight end, we already have Dallas Goedert. Offensive line, I said we might need to bring in like a left tackle, left guard, but there's not really anybody there that's better than what we have. We could try to go all in for Elton Jenkins, but I don't think it's really worth it. I think we try to save the money that we have. Matt Ioannidis, 29 years old. I wouldn't hate bringing him in. It's just, is he going to want to come here? Bills and us are battling for him. I didn't mean to back out there. The Bills are battling for his services. We will go to our targeted. I will hit the button, and everybody Matthew Ioannidis has accepted the deal. How many signed with us? Trayvon Mullen, Jonathan Abram, and Cleveland Farrell. Beautiful. So we got a new corner, a new safety, and a new outside linebacker. We're just waiting on Matt Ioannidis. He signed a deal, and he signed with us. So we got a new D tackle too. Okay, so we spent a decent amount of change in free agency to help this team improve in the short term. We're going to go into the draft. We're going to bring in Justin Jefferson. We're going to bring in Jalen Hurts, and then whoever else we decide to bring in. Because I took a look at the Eagles 2020 draft, like who all they took in that year's draft. It wasn't that great outside of Jalen Hurts. So, especially with the whole Jalen Reagor thing. So I think that if we can adjust it using hindsight, knowing the players that are good, I think we might be able to help this Eagles team win a Super Bowl in the short term instead of losing to the Chiefs this past year in real life like they did. So we will go to the draft, and we will take a look at the final mock draft number 5 just to kind of see where everybody's feeling here. Mock draft number 5. Hey, look at that. The Lions are still going to end up taking Jeff Okudah. That's pretty funny, although they just released him. The Bears are pretty locked in on taking Joe Burrow at number 1. No surprise there. Has Justin Jefferson moved up the board? Justin Jefferson moved up the board. That's not good. they have us taking Jerry Jeudy. That is not good. Okay, so Jalen Hurts is still there at 26. All right, very interesting. They have us taking Jerry Jeudy, but we're not going to take Jerry Jeudy. So we're going to have to trade up a little bit higher than I wanted to take Justin Jefferson. And if we end up not getting Justin Jefferson, then I will just take over the team that does get him and trade him to us, because that's the whole point of the video. So let's use our private workouts on Jefferson and on Jalen Hurts, and then on somebody else. Let's see, maybe an offensive lineman. Is there going to be an offensive lineman in the second round that we could use? There could be. No guards, no centers that are that great. Cesar Ruiz, that could be a good one, but he's probably going to be on. Robert Hunt, that could be interesting. Tristan Wirfs, we know how good he is. He'll probably be gone, though. Chase Young, Derek Brown, all these guys are most likely going to be gone by the time we get up again. And I didn't make these draft classes, by the way, so I just downloaded them. So if you have any opinions on this guy should be higher up or this guy should be rated better, I didn't make the class. So I'll use it on Trayvon Diggs because we know how good Trayvon Diggs ends up becoming. If we take him, cool. I don't know if he'll be there when we come up in draft again. But let's go to the draft and see what we're cooking here. See what we are cooking. Start the NFL draft. Start drafting. Pause the draft. Number one pick is the Chicago Bears. I'm assuming they're going to take Joe Burrow, and they do. So Joe Burrow, instead of going Cincinnati, goes to the Bears. Very interesting. Jeff Okudah goes number 2 to the Lions. Chase Young heads to the Raiders. The Bengals take Justin Herbert, so instead of him going to the Chargers, he goes to Cincy. The Seahawks are up next. They take Tristan Wirfs. Mekhi Becton heads to the Steel City. CeeDee Lamb not going to Dallas. He's going to Detroit. So Detroit's got Jeff Okudah and CeeDee Lamb. That's a pretty decent draft in the top 10. CeeDee's nuts. Andrew Thomas headed to Indianapolis. Then we've got the Vikings taking Jedrick Wills. We've got Justin Jefferson going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So whoever I draft here with this pick at pick 14, I will trade to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to get us Justin Jefferson. Cesar Ruiz, Derek Brown, and Javon Kinlaw. So now we are up. We will take somebody, but remember, this guy will not be on our team. So we might as well take Henry Ruggs or Jerry Jeudy just to swap receiver for receiver so they're not losing out on much. Let's take Jerry Jeudy, let's take Henry Ruggs, even though we know how his career panned out in real life, and how he's in prison and stuff. He actually has normal development, which is a little surprising, but maybe on brand. I don't know. So he will not be here. He'll be in Tampa Bay when we trade him to the Bucks. DeAndre Swift goes to the Falcons. Isaiah Simmons to the Texans. Patriots get Tua. That's fun. Patrick Queen to the Giants. Jerry Jeudy to the Jaguars. Vernon Bailey to the Cardinals. Brandon Ayuk to the Dolphins. Shelton Jones to the Seahawks. Mike Murray to the Dolphins. Then we've got Kenneth Murray to the Packers. Chase on to the Commanders, and now we're up again. So now this guy will be on our team. And AJ Terrell is on the board. And so is Austin Jackson. And so is Jonathan Taylor. There's a few really good picks at the top of this board here. We could take Jonathan Taylor, and that could be our running back of the future. We could take Austin Jackson, that could be our left tackle of the future. Or we could take AJ Terrell, and that could really be our corner of the future. I think I'm going to take AJ Terrell. Hidden development, AJ Terrell, welcome to the Philadelphia Eagles. Now we have a pick in the second round. It is pick 14. I don't think Jonathan Taylor will be there. I could try to trade up to get it. Jordan Brooks goes. Jason Spearman. Let me take a look at the draft board. Where is Jonathan Taylor projected? So he's projected to go pretty quickly. I kind of want Jonathan Taylor. I think that combination of Jonathan Taylor and Jalen Hurts could be very, very good. But I don't know if that's the right idea. Let me move on. Okay, so Jonathan Taylor goes to the Buffalo Bills. I wasn't sure if he was going to make it to the second round. I didn't want to trade back into the first round because those picks are a lot harder to trade for. But I will keep an eye on Jalen Hurts. He is coming up pretty soon. I think now that Jonathan Taylor's off the board, we will take Hurts at 14. Unless he goes for some reason, and then I'll have to do it again where I trade. Excuse me. Where I trade with the team. Robert Hunt goes. Oh, I got something in my throat. The Rams get Trayvon Diggs. There goes Zach Leonard. Jalen Johnson. A.J. Bowe. Brian Thomas. Isaiah Green. And Grant McMahon. So Jalen Hurts is available. We will take Jalen Hurts with this pick. Austin Jackson is still available. Welcome aboard. Jalen Hurts has hidden development. That's very nice. I appreciate that, Jalen. You're probably going to be our starter year one, actually. We have a pick in the 3rd round. And you know what? We might as well simulate to that pick and see who's available. So let's do that right now. Sim to the next user pick in the 3rd round. Then we have pick 14 in the 4th round as well. Jalen McIntyre is still on the board. 6'3". Jamie McDougal. Trevor Jackson. None of these guys look amazing here in the 3rd round. How good does this tight end look? Gregory Jackson, he's 6'3". He's a pretty good athlete. Doesn't have the greatest acceleration. I don't know. What about Jamie McDougal? He could pair him alongside Cleveland Farrell, and maybe he ends up being pretty good. What's his archetype? It is a pass coverage linebacker. I don't know. What about Jaleel Pearman? He's a power rusher, 6'5". Not as good of an athlete as the other guy is. Not as good of an athlete. What about Benji McLeod? Benji is not that great of an athlete. You know what? I think I'm going to take McDougal, and then we'll simulate the rest of the draft because it doesn't matter at that point. He's only normal development. It's fine. Doesn't matter. He's not going to matter in the long run. So we will end the draft there, simulate the rest of it, let the CPU handle it. We got our guy, Jalen Hurts. I'm going to go and get my guy, Justin Jefferson, and then we can simulate the 2nd season here. Or I guess technically the 1st season. But we can simulate it and see how Justin Jefferson does. Let's do a quick draft recap just to see how good our guys are. So Henry Ruggs ends up being a 74. He will be in Tampa Bay. AJ Terrell ends up being a 73, and Jalen Hurts ends up being a 73. So both of those guys, I think both of them have hidden development, right? Or does AJ have normal? He has hidden development. So 2 of our picks have hidden development. That's pretty good, and I'm assuming Justin Jefferson has hidden development too. They ended up taking a running back, Jonathan Peele, and then a couple guys that aren't great. But let's take a look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Justin Jefferson ends up being a 77. Does he have hidden development? He sure does. He will be on our team. And then we will go to the NFL and see. Joe Burrow is actually only a 75. Herbert ends up being a 79. CeeDee Lamb 78. Jonathan Taylor 78. So maybe it would have been worth trading up to get him. I don't know. But we will go and trade for Justin Jefferson. So I will see you guys at the start of the 2nd season here. Technically the 1st season. And we will get simulating once I get Jefferson on the team. Okay, so here we are. It is the start of the official 1st season. And we've got Justin Jefferson on the team. I traded Henry Ruggs over there. Now we have Jalen Hurts starting at quarterback over Carson Wentz. Not a problem there. Miles Sanders still in the backfield. I like the receiving core now that we have Jefferson added alongside Aguilar and Jeffrey. The offensive line looks pretty decent. On the defense, we add in Cleveland Farrell. We brought in Jonathan Abram. Marcus Epps looks to be an okay player. Matt Ioannidis is now here. The cornerback room looks a lot better, especially because we have brought in Trayvon Mullen, and then we have A.J. Terrell as well. I don't know where A.J. Terrell is at this point, but he is supposed to be here. And we will move on to the simulation of the 1st season. I will simulate past to the playoffs. See you guys there so we can take a look at both Jalen Hurts and Justin Jefferson's rookie seasons to see how good they did in their 1st year. Okay, so we finished the 1st season here in the simulation, and we have a 9-8 record. We didn't make the playoffs again. I'm curious to see how good the rookie years were for Jalen Hurts and for Justin Jefferson. Very impressive in terms of yards, 4,800 yards, 32 touchdowns for Jalen Hurts. He did throw 22 interceptions. That looks like a little bit of a World of Juice stat line right there. That's okay. Not a big deal. 940 yards for Miles Sanders, 6 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts on the ground had 7 touchdowns. And then Justin Jefferson, 1,000 yards in his rookie year, 1,300 yards, 5 touchdowns. Alshon Jeffrey, 1,000 yards and 12 touchdowns. Very good from him as well. But Justin Jefferson, 5 touchdowns, 1,300 yards. That could be rookie of the year offensively. You never know. Defensively, Grugier Hill, I don't know how to pronounce his name, whatever, doesn't matter. 130 tackles for both him and TJ Edwards. Tackles for loss, Derek Barnett had 15, Ioannidis had 14, Josh Sweat had 11. Sack leaders, Fletcher Cox had 9.5, Ioannidis had 7, so did Josh Sweat. 4 for Hill, and Derek Barnett had 1, so did Devontae Maddox. Interception leaders, Rasul Douglas had 4, Hill had 2, so did Abram. Okay. So we didn't really produce that amazingly, but again, it's only year 1 of the process with Jalen Hurts and with Justin Jefferson on the team. This is just their rookie years. And it looks like they both have superstar development. Jalen Hurts, Justin Jefferson. I'm excited for the future 4 years of this simulation because we've got some good ones locked down. So let's go to the Super Bowl. See who's going to be participating in it. And we did better. We finished 8-9 in the kind of test year where we were simulating up to get Justin Jefferson. And then now we're finishing 9-8. So, hey, we're above 500. We're a winning team. We are a good team in the making. It is going to be Panthers and Raiders. Panthers won the Super Bowl just last year. Can they go back-to-back or will they lose to the Raiders? It is a back-to-back for the Carolina Panthers. The dynasty has been built in Carolina. Okay. Back-to-back bowls. Is Brian Burns the MVP again? He is. Mahomes wins the MVP again for the second year. McCaffrey and TJ Watt are your players of the year. And then Joe Burrow and Patrick Queen are your offense defense rookies of the year. So I forgot that Joe Burrow existed. Of course, he was going to win offensive rookie of the year, not Justin Jefferson. That's okay, because we've got a decent amount of money in cap space. We've got probably some big contracts to pay. I'm not really too sure who's coming up for an extension. But at least we know that Jalen Hurts and Justin Jefferson, we won't have to pay because we're going to pick up their 5th-year options so that we can get away with not having to pay them this entire rebuild or this entire simulation. But players that are ready to negotiate, we've got Fletcher Cox, Derek Barnett, Tim Jernigan, Carson Wentz. We're not going to bring back Carson Wentz. We will want to bring back Fletcher Cox. I know he's old, but I will want to bring back Fletcher, and he wants to be here, so I might be able to get away with a little bit of a less expensive contract than maybe I might have had to originally. No, he's actually going to sign, or not sign with us. What's his franchise tag? $21 million? We have the money to do that. I think we'll do it. That sucks. I did not want to pay $21 million to franchise tag him, but I thought he would sign it even if we lowballed him just slightly, but I guess I was wrong there. Derek Barnett is coming back. That's perfect. $31 million, and I think we will let everybody else walk. We don't need to bring back any of those guys. We can take a look at mock draft number 3 if we want to, but I'm going to move on to free agency to kind of figure out where we need to go. I think we mainly need to focus on the defense in this one. I think we need to focus on that, and I hope that there's some pretty good defensive players in here. And it looks like I've missed a few guys. Brandon Ayuk and Michael Pittman were just in this past draft class, the 2020 draft class. I tried to get rid of everybody that was in that draft class and above, and it looks like I missed a couple of guys. That's my fault. Quarterback, we don't need. Running back, don't need. Not necessarily. Receiver, we could use an extra receiver, maybe like a Russell Gage or a Robbie Anderson. Or what's he called now? I forget what his name is now. Tight end, I think we're fine with. Offensive line, there's nobody better than what we have already. Chris Lindstrom, we'd have to battle for some pretty hefty contracts here, but how about if I offer him this? This could really help us out. We can move one of our guards. We can move Lindstrom to left guard if he signs with us. I don't think he'll sign with us, though. The Raiders are also pretty high on him. DJ Reader, Grover Stewart. Don't need any of those guys, not right now at least. Nobody in the linebacking room. Corner, Adoree Jackson. What year did Adoree Jackson get drafted? He's a 7-year pro, so he's been in the league for a while. Okay. I only want to get guys really that have been, or that are older than what the 2020 draft class is. I'll throw an offer at Adoree Jackson. I don't really need him. We have a lot of cornerback depth already. So I'll throw an offer at Adoree Jackson. If he signs with us, cool. But it's not a big deal if he doesn't. Ooh, but Jordan Fuller. How long has Jordan Fuller been in the league? For 4 years. Is that around 2020? I don't know. I'll throw him an offer too because I really like Jordan Fuller. So we will lower his money slightly. He really wants to be here actually. So we'll offer him that. And you know what? Actually, I'm gonna go and rescind my offer on. I'm going to go and get rid of this offer on Adoree Jackson so that we can make a better offer on Jordan Fuller because I really think that he's going to be worth it more than Adoree Jackson is. We have a lot of cornerback depth, not so much in the safety department. So I'm going to give Jordan Fuller more of a fair contract for what he deserves because he's a very good player. There we go. That's much better. That's a much better contract. He'll most likely sign that. So our targeted guys are Chris Lindstrom and Jordan Fuller. I don't know if Lindstrom will sign with us. Both have signed, and we only got Jordan Fuller. Okay, that's not a big deal. I didn't think we'd get Chris Lindstrom. I figured he would sign with the Raiders. But that just means that we can save our money up for future free agencies and all that kind of stuff. So we do actually need a center. I thought that Jason Kelce was still here. What? Is he hurt? Where did Jason Kelce? We just re-signed him last offseason. Where did Jason... Oh, he must have retired. I didn't even look at retirements. Jason Kelce must have retired. That's why we had that extra money. Yeah, Jason Kelce retires in this season. So that's unfortunate. I guess I should have changed the ages. But if we go to the defense and bring up Jordan Fuller now, he will start at strong safety. That's right, he's over here. So we got to move Jonathan Abram over to free safety. I don't think that'll hurt him too much. I think he can play free safety a little bit. He's more of a strong safety, obviously, his play type, but hopefully he can play a little bit of free safety. I guess we'll find out. He's still an 80, so it doesn't hurt us too much. Cornerback room, we're still waiting on the development of A.J. Terrell. He's just a little bit too low of an overall right now. But we got some work to do. This team is still working. I have loaded in the 2021 draft class with like Jamar Chase and all those guys, so they are here. I don't know what our draft pick is. Probably around the same spot that we were last year. Probably around the 15 to 20 mark, I would guess, is where our draft pick is. If we go to mock draft number 4, it is the Lions, the number 1 pick, Penei Sewell, Trevor Lawrence, Micah Parsons, all these guys that you know and love. Getting Micah Parsons would certainly be awesome, but I don't know. We have pick 18. They have us taking Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Okay. I don't hate that. But obviously, I want somebody that is going to affect this team in the long run, and that's probably Micah Parsons. So it looks like we're going to have to trade up to get a certain player like Micah Parsons. Okay, very interesting. I'll see what I can do. But let's keep moving on past free agency. We got the guy that we wanted in Jordan Fuller. I think he'll be a good piece for us in the long run. He's still pretty young, only like 26 years old or something like that, so he's still pretty young. Mock draft number 5. We'll see if anybody changed. Obviously, the order of the picks doesn't change, but we'll see. We'll see if anybody's changed in terms of it. No, everybody seems to be going where they're going to go. Micah Parsons with the Patriots. We will trade up to get Micah Parsons with the Patriots. I wonder who they're going to want. Are they even going to want anybody? I don't even know. Private workouts. Let's see. Let's use it on... We know Jamar Chase is going to be a stud. Let's use it on Micah Parsons. Let's use it on... Who else should we use it on? Let's go to like offensive lineman or something, because that could be a big need for us. Landon... Oh, actually, that's funny. Landon Dickerson's in this class. Elijah Vera Tucker, definitely want to use it on, because he could be a guy that we pick up. And then we've got Creed Humphrey, too. Okay. So we could pick up some of those guys. We could find our center. We could certainly find our center. But let's move on to the actual draft. I will go and try to trade up to get Micah Parsons. I don't know if it's going to be possible, but I'll try. I will try my best to trade up for him. So I will see you guys at the draft with whatever I do. Okay, so I was able to get the number 3 pick in the draft. I had to trade around a little bit to be able to get up to get it. We obviously had pick number 18, so we do have the number 3 pick in the draft. We're going to take Micah Parsons with it. And I was able to keep a lot of the pretty good players on the team. Number 1 pick goes to the Lions. They take Penei Sewell, which is pretty funny because they got him in real life. Trevor Lawrence goes to LA, so instead of Justin Herbert, they get Trevor Lawrence. And now we are up, and we are going to... we had the opportunity to take Jamar Chase. Having him and Justin Jefferson on the same team would be very good. Oh, but obviously Micah Parsons is probably better in the long run for the team needs. I mean, receiver could be very useful, but there's receivers in every single class. I know Justin Jefferson is, or Jamar Chase is a freak of nature, but Micah Parsons is probably the go-to pick for what we need. We need linebacking talent. We need pressure. So we're getting Micah Parsons, who has stated that he wishes he would have been drafted by the Eagles. Now we don't pick until the 15th pick in the second round. I hope that Creed Humphrey is still available because we need a center. So I hope that he's still available. He is still available. I'm taking Creed Humphrey no matter what. We need our center. Boom, Creed Humphrey. Instead of going Kansas City, he is coming here. That's a big pickup. That's a huge centerpiece. And then we have another pick right after it. So let's make our selection here. We don't pick until the 18th pick in the third round then. Greg Rousseau could be interesting. Jaleel Holiday looks pretty good. There's a couple good corners in here. Talanoa Hufanga is a pretty good player. We know in real life he is. This is tricky. Receivers. There's a couple receivers that look okay. Tutu Atwell. Jaleel Holiday doesn't look bad. He's a pass protector. His strength isn't great, which worries me. But he doesn't look all that bad. He was supposed to go in the first or second round. There's Trey Smith, who also does not look that bad. Very good athlete. Trey Smith also looks good. This might be where we focus on getting our guards or getting our offensive line figured out. Yeah, I think that might be the plan for this one. There are a couple good corners. Greg Newsome's still there. But I think this might be where we figure out our offensive line spot. I think we're going to take Trey Smith with this one. That's perfect right there. And then if we come up in the third round and Elijah Vera Tucker is still on the board, then we'll probably take him. Although if that Jaleel guy is still there, I might take him. But I don't think he will be. I think he's gotten taken. Left tackle, yeah, he got taken. I thought he would get taken. Elijah Vera Tucker's still on the board. I'm going to take him. So that's basically our offensive line. We got left guard, center, right guard. I'm pretty sure, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how we got. So we just got the interior of our offensive line figured out. And then the fourth round, I don't think there's anybody else here that I want to take, so I'm probably just gonna simulate out of it. Let's see. Is there anybody at the top of the draft that I want? Not really. We'll just let the CPU handle the rest of it. Let's simulate out of it. Take a look at the draft recap, see how good our guys are, see how good Micah Parsons is, see how good... I feel like this is a really, really good draft for the future of this team because we got a lot of good offensive line pieces. We got our new starting center to replace Jason Kelsey. We got Trey Smith. We got Elijah Vera Tucker. Micah Parsons ends up being an 82 overall. Humphrey's a 76. Trey Smith's a 76. Vera Tucker's a 75. And then they took a couple guys that aren't that great, so that's not a big deal. And then in the NFL, is Micah Parsons the best player? He is. Travis Etienne ends up being an 80 overall. Jamar Chase is an 80. So is Mac Jones an 80. Why? Kyle Pitts is a 70. Kyle Pitts didn't get taken till the fourth round. I didn't even notice Kyle Pitts was there. Kyle Pitts was the third pick in this draft. That's crazy. Jalen Waddle got taken. This is a good draft for receivers, that is for sure. But we got our guys. I'm happy with how we did it. I'm happy with who we got. So now we can simulate to the end of year number 2 of the simulation, and I will see you guys once we get done, and hopefully we're in the playoffs. I don't know if we are going to be, but this is what the team looks like. We're 81s across the board. We're still in the early stages. But the offensive line's looking really, really solid right now. We have a replacement now for when Brandon Brooks ends up retiring. That could be after this year. I don't know. The receiving core still needs a little bit of work. We'll work on that in the short term. And then on defense, still need a little bit of work here, but we're putting the pieces together. The defense looks a lot better than what it did when we first started. So maybe with another good free agency and another good draft, we could actually do some things. I don't know. We'll find out. I'll see you guys at the end of year number 2 with hopefully some good news. We made it to the end of the second season, and we didn't make the playoffs again. We're 7-10. We're kind of struggling around that 7 to 9 win range. I'm not really sure what we need to do differently. I think the defense still could use some work, and obviously we're still waiting on Jalen Hurts to take that next step. It's going to be a lot harder because this is a Madden version of Jalen Hurts and not the real-life Jalen Hurts. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult. 4,600 yards, though, 30 touchdowns, 16 interceptions is very good season for Jalen. His numbers have dropped a little bit more in terms of his interceptions, so I'd like to see them continue to get lower. Miles Sanders, we probably could use a number 1 running back that isn't Miles Sanders, but we'll see how it goes in the next 3 years. 858 yards, 8 touchdowns. Jay Ajayi also had 10 touchdowns. Nelson Aguilar had 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns, 985 yards and 5 touchdowns for Justin Jefferson, so his numbers went down slightly, but nothing concerning, I wouldn't think. T.J. Edwards, once again, 122 tackles. Marcus Epps had 100. We had 17 tackles for loss for Fletcher Cox, 14 for Josh Sweat, 10 for Micah Parsons as a rookie. And Micah Parsons led the team with 11 interceptions. Or 11 sacks. That's really, really good. 8 sacks for Fletcher Cox, 7 for Josh Sweat. Interceptions, Avonte Maddox and Jordan Fuller both had 3. Epps and Rasul Douglas had 2, and then a couple guys had 1. Okay, so Micah Parsons could win Defensive Rookie of the Year. That'll be a nice little bonus. But we're just not really there yet. We're not really there yet. And I do want to mention, I tried so hard. It took me like a half hour. I was going through, before I started simulating this season to get to the playoffs, I was going through the Madden share files to try to find a 2022 NFL draft class to put in here. And there was none that were accurate. They were all 2023. Every time I loaded one in, it was Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, all that kind of stuff. I literally could not find a single draft class that had 2022. I tried so hard. I looked at so many different draft classes. I downloaded like 30 different draft classes to try to figure out why there wasn't one in there. It was all 2023. It was all Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Willie Anderson Jr. It was all those guys. And that's the next year class. That's not the one, because 2022 has got like Sauce Gardner, Aiden Hutchinson, Kayvon Thibodeau, all those players. So I tried so hard to find the draft class. I couldn't find it. So I apologize. We're just going to have normal auto-generated players for the 2022 class, and then we'll come back with the 2023 class with Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, all that stuff. I tried so hard. If you guys know a PS5 draft class for 2022, send it my way, because if we do more of these more modern what-ifs, I'm going to need a 2022 draft class. I'll continue to look on my own time to see if I can find one. I'm not going to make one myself. It's not worth the time. But if there's already one made, I'll keep looking, but I tried a lot of them. I tried so many even that were not good at all, and they all were wrong. So like, they weren't even close. They didn't even have any of the real players. It was all 2023. There was none that even had, like, I could have lived with finding one that had like Kayvon Thibodeau and then a bunch of random people. Like, if it would have just had one accurate player, but none of the draft classes that I saw had any accurate players. So it blew my mind that we're not even that far away. It was just last year's draft class. It was this year's rookies. So I don't know why nobody made a draft class of it. I guess because since they were this year's rookies, probably that's why nobody made a draft class of it. I don't know, but I couldn't find one. So that's probably the reason. But whatever, we're just gonna have normal players. We're just gonna have normal auto-generated guys, and then we'll get to 2023. But the season recap: Cowboys won the Super Bowl. Dak wins the MVP. Micah Parsons does win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Trey Lance wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. Okay, so we are at least getting some awards. That might mean that Will Anderson Jr. goes up a development trait. I'm not sure what his development trait is. I think it's Superstar, but he might be an X Factor now, or maybe he was already an X Factor. I have no idea, but he could be. He could be up a little bit more. We have $183 million in cap space. We have a lot of wiggle room to figure things out. Creed Humphrey is a superstar. I might have to move somebody to right tackle. Okay, so we got a lot of work on this offense. We need a new right tackle. We need another receiver, probably 2 more receivers. And then on defense, we need another linebacker. We need Fletcher Cox must have retired, so we need a defensive line. We need a whole lot of upgrades. Okay, I can see where this team is going wrong. I can see where this team is going wrong. We need a lot of improvements, and it's a good year it's a good thing that this is the year where we have a lot of money to be able to spend, because we need to spend it on a lot of different players. So let's go and spend some money on bringing guys back. Josh Sweat, I want to bring back. He's been a very consistent player for us, so we're going to offer him a nice little contract, and that should lock him. Oh, he's not coming back. Okay, Josh, tell me how you really feel. $19.5 million. He's getting franchise tagged. Miles Sanders doesn't want to come back, but if I offer him a nice chunk of money, because we do need a running back. I know I said I wanted to upgrade, but we do need at least one running back, so I'm going to have to overpay for Miles Sanders. I don't want to do this, but maybe it'll work. He's coming back. So he's locked down for the rest of the rebuild, unless we trade him, obviously. Avonte Maddox, I think we can let go. Landon Dickerson, we should probably bring back for the rest of the rebuild. So we are going to have to probably overpay for him, but he says free agency is going to be better. All right, so we need a new left guard. Actually, we got his left guard replacement. That's right. Zach Ertz is on his way out as well. I probably should bring Zach Ertz back just because he's a backup tight end, and we don't really have any of those. All we have is Dallas Goedert. I know that Zach Ertz leaves for the Cardinals. He gets traded in real life, but he's coming back for the few more seasons. Avonte Maddox, I'll probably bring back because he is a star development player. If he starts to regress a little bit because he is 29, then we can look to move on from him later, but he's coming back for 3 more seasons. So we locked up everybody, and we still have $137 million to be able to work this offense and this defense in free agency, because it severely needs it. That is for sure. So let's go into free agency. We have like no players on this roster. We need a real overhaul. So quarterback, we don't need. Running back, there's not anybody better than what we have. Receivers, we need receivers. Mike Williams would be a good one. I'm going to pay Mike Williams a nice little contract. He even wants to be here, so that's a bonus. So we'll pay Mike Williams a nice contract. Keenan Allen, we're not going to try to go after. Another receiver could be Devontae Parker, maybe? Kenny Galladay? Maybe Devontae Parker would be better. Or Allen Robinson. He's a little bit higher over and overall. I know he's a little older, but maybe we offer him that and see what happens. Tight end, we already brought back both of those guys. Left guards, there's Landon Dickerson. We could try to offer him a new contract, but he really doesn't want to be here, unfortunately. But I kind of want him to come back. So I'll give him a 4-year deal, and we'll offer him about what he was going to get offered in his normal contract, and we'll see what happens there. Probably not going to get him. That'd be my luck. There's the original Elijah Vera Tucker. So it looks like I missed a few guys. I thought I had that pretty much down. I guess not. J.J. Watt don't need. Grover Stewart's back in free agency, so I'll give him a nice little contract just to try to get some people. We got to get bodies, basically. We got to get bodies on the roster. Javon Hargrave, I'll give a nice little contract to. See what he says to that. That's all of my offers for this first period, but we should get everybody that I expected, and there's not really anybody else that we're missing out on. So let's go to the targeted screen, hit the button. Everybody signed, and we got 4 of the 5. Okay, so that's perfect. We got a new receiver, 2 new receivers, and 2 new D tackles. So Landon Dickerson signed with the Ravens, it looks like. That's okay. Not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. So let's see. Is there anybody else here? No. Anybody else over here? 33 years old, not worth it. Jamin Davis could be cool. We'll offer him a nice contract, see what he says. We'll give him that deal. Maybe he'll accept it. Jalen Phillips. We know Jalen Phillips, how good he can be in the 10-year rebuild series. He was really good for us. So we'll see. Maybe he can rekindle some of that magic for us. Corners. Shaq Griffin's 30. Everybody's pretty old here. There's not really anybody that we absolutely have to have. But I will throw an offer at William Jackson for a year. William Jackson III. And then we don't need a free safety. Strong safety we're pretty much good on. So I think that's everybody that we need to go after in free agency. We'll hit the button again. Everybody signed. We got Jamin Davis and William Jackson, but we didn't get Jaleel Jalen Phillips. I don't know what I said Jaleel for. Jalen Phillips. So we still have about $84 million in cap space. We filled out the roster kind of nicely. We added some good pieces. 2 new receivers is going to help out Jalen Hurts a little bit. Dillard is going to go to right tackle, I guess, unless we draft a right tackle. Defensively, we got Jamin Davis. I think I'm going to move TJ Edwards over to right outside linebacker so that Jamin Davis can start at middle. And then we have Micah Parsons on the outside. So, yeah, I like that a lot. And he has an upgrade point. Look at that. So we'll give him the field general upgrade. Now he's a 79 overall. So we just got even better. So now the linebackers are looking pretty good. The defensive line is not great, but it's looking better, especially because we franchise tagged Josh Sweat. The offense is still looking a little crazy. We should probably sign a quarterback to back up Jalen Hurts. I didn't realize that we didn't have a single quarterback, so let's go sign a quarterback and maybe a backup running back. So let's go offer somebody. I don't know. We could offer Carson Wentz, but he got taken. Let's offer it. I guess it doesn't really even matter. Let's offer Jimmy Garoppolo a contract. I'll give him a 3-year deal just so that he can stay around for the entirety of the rest of the simulation. And then a running back, we'll go for Travis Etienne. We'll give him a contract. We'll have to outbid a few players or a few teams. So we'll give him something like that. And he should accept it. We'll go to targeted and we will see if they accept. Etienne did not accept just yet, but we got Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm guessing we'll get Etienne. We're up by at least a bar on everybody else. So we should get those guys. We should get them and get Travis Etienne, and then we'll be good to go there. I don't even know where we pick in the draft, though. Since this draft is auto-generated, I'm not really sure where to go. It looks like we did sign Travis Etienne, so that's awesome. But I'm not really even sure where to go with this draft. I mean, we could try to go after a defensive player, I guess, but I think the offense needs more help than the defense does, although the defense isn't that great. We're kind of in a weird spot where we're just like mid. We're just kind of mid. So we'll try to figure out what to do. Let me take a look at the mock draft real quick before we do the draft. So we have the 13th pick. So we've picked around this same spot every time. And there is a pretty good left end. He has F finesse moves, which doesn't give me hope, but he looks good everywhere else. It looks like it's a pretty heavy offensive line class, at least offensive tackle class. And we do need offensive tackle. That center looks pretty good. There's a lot of right tackles, and that's what we need. We do need right tackles. I don't think there's a generational prospect in this one. At least not that I can notice. No, I don't think there's a generational guy in this class. So that's good. That's good to know that there's not anybody that's super, super good. So if we go to the next week, we'll use our draft picks. We'll take whoever's available. Probably going to take a right tackle at some point. If we go in this draft and pause, and then we skip to our next user pick, we don't need to trade up. It's not worth it, really. There is a decent right tackle available, but is there anybody better before that? There's a decent running back here, Devontae Shields. His juke move is only a C, so if you ever see a running back that has a juke move of a B or an A, especially an A, then you know they're going to be a freak. How big is this guy? This guy's 6'5", 318. Nolan Carr. He could play right tackle. He could probably play right tackle. You know what? I'm going to take Nolan Carr, and we're going to move him to right tackle. I don't know how good he's going to be at right tackle, but he's got the strength and the height to play right tackle. He's way too tall to be a center. That could end up being big for us. And then we'll take... I don't really even know. Maybe another corner or a receiver. Jose Collins, he's 6 foot. Good acceleration. Probably not worth it too much. What about this guy, Alonzo Silvers? Not really. John Mayo? Brother of Gerard Mayo? I'm going to take John Mayo. Normal development. Whatever. I think we're going to let the CPU handle the rest of the draft. Let's handle the rest of the draft. And then next offseason, we'll have the 2023 draft. And then we'll get the next two that have, or the next one that has normal auto-generated again. I just could not find a 2022 draft class, probably because it is the draft class that we are in real life. That was the rookies. That's probably why it wasn't available. But whatever, 76 overall for Nolan Carr is pretty good. John Mayo's a 73. They also drafted a receiver who's a 70, and then a bunch of other players. All right, so is there a best player in this class? Who was it? 77 Shields. It was Devontae Shields, the guy that we talked about. He was the best player in the class. I could have taken him. But I didn't want to. And a 77's not crazy good. He could end up being something for us, I guess. You never know. Maybe he turns out to be something. But this is what the roster looks like heading into the third simulation. The offensive line, I'm going to change Carr to a right tackle, and we're going to see if he stays the same or goes down or whatever. If we make him a right tackle, does he move? He stays at 76, so perfect. We can have him play right tackle. We're looking pretty good here, and we're ready to go. We are ready to go for the season simulation, so let's start simulating. I will see you guys at the playoffs of year number 3. We've made it to the end of the year 3, and we continue to play bad. We missed the playoffs again. We are 6-11 is how we end the season. I'm not really sure why we're playing so bad. I feel like this team got a lot better from last year. Maybe not a lot better, but got better from last year. 4,900 yards and 37 touchdowns from Jalen Hurts is unbelievably good with 11 touchdowns. That interception number, like I wanted it, is starting to drop to a more reasonable number. Miles Sanders with 1,000 yards, 15 touchdowns as well. Justin Jefferson, 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns, so he's having a good career so far. He's had 2 1,000-yard seasons, and both of them have been above 1,300 yards, so that's pretty good. And he had one last year that was 900 and something, so he's had a really good career. Mike Williams had 1,000 yards. Dallas Goedert had 1,000 yards. Defensively, 140 tackles for Jamin Davis. Wow. 124 tackles for TJ Edwards, 97 for Jordan Fuller, 94 for Trayvon Mullen. Tackle for loss, Hargrave had 17. Parsons had 10. 7.5 sacks for Parsons, 7 for Josh Sweat, 6.5 for Grover Stewart. 2 interceptions for both Maddox and Edwards. Jamin Davis and a couple other guys had 1. So I'm not really sure what to do differently. And we have 2 seasons left to go, and I'm not really sure how to make this team a contender. I don't really know where to go differently. I think we just have to develop. I don't know if we have enough time to develop, though. I don't know. Justin Jefferson, at least we're finding out he's having still a good career. It's just a little bit more difficult to have the Jalen Hurts not be as good as he is in real life. That's the only problem. And the Bengals won the Super Bowl, so they get their revenge. Congratulations to the Bengals. They finally get a Super Bowl, although it's not Joe Burrow. I don't know. Oh, it's Justin Herbert. That's right. Justin Herbert's there. He got drafted in that same draft class to the Bengals. But Joe Mixon wins the MVP. We don't get any awards. That's okay. Not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. We will move to re-signing period. We have a lot of money again, which is good. That's very, very good. You know that I like to have money, and this could be a good free agent class. You never know. You never know if this is going to be a free agent class that's pretty good or not. Jordan Mailata, we have to bring back, and thankfully he wants to be back, so it's not going to take too much more money than what we already have here. He's coming back perfect. Dallas Goedert, I want back. So we'll just bump up his money slightly, and he's not coming back. Wow. Well, you're getting franchise tag, Dallas. Sorry about your luck. Josh Sweat actually wants to be back a little bit more now, so that's nice. So we'll pay him about that, and he says he's coming back for the rest of the simulation. Perfect. Jonathan Abram, I want back for the rest of the simulation. So I'll give him a good amount of money, maybe overpay slightly for him. And he's coming back. Awesome. TJ Edwards, I want back, even though he's normal development now. I'll give him something like that. And he says he's coming back. Hargrave, we probably should bring back. Everybody else can leave. But Javon Hargrave, I'll give a 2-year deal to just to bring back for the rest of the rebuild or rest of the simulation. He's back. And Derek Barnett I'll bring back as well for the rest of the simulation. Or at least I'll try to. I'll attempt to bring him back. We'll see what he says. He's coming back. Okay, so we got everybody that I wanted to bring back. William Jackson can leave. I don't really care about him. And we'll go into free agency with about $94 million in cap space. That's a lot of money to work with. And we got a lot of holes to fill. So let's go into free agency, ready to spend some money. Hopefully there are some people there. Kamara could be interesting. Alvin Kamara certainly is intriguing. That would definitely be that would be an upgrade from Miles Sanders for sure. So we'll already throw him a contract. Teron Johnson, might as well go after the 2 highest rated players in the class. Why not? I mean, we're trying to win a Super Bowl, so I don't know if we'll get either of them, but we'll try. Quarterback, we signed Jimmy Garoppolo as the backup, so we're good there. Receiver, don't really need anybody. I mean, Quez Watkins, since he technically is here in real life at this point, maybe we should try to bring him in, see what he says to that. So we're 3 out of 5 there. Tight ends we're good with, I think, unless Zach Ertz retired. I didn't really see if Zach Ertz retired or not. But we'll go for David Njoku. Offensive line, I think we're pretty good on offensive line. We don't really need anybody there. Defensive line, DJ Reader could be interesting. Grady Jarrett. Chad Muma. Chad Muma won an award. I think he won Defensive Rookie of the Year in this simulation. Taylor Rapp, Jabril Peppers. We only have one more negotiation for this first period, so we got to make it count. Do we go after Chad Muma, or do we go after somebody else? Let's go after Muma. Although we don't really need Muma, though, do we? Or I guess we could move somebody to middle or to outside linebacker, because we did just re-sign TJ Edwards. We'll offer Muma. I don't think we're gonna get him though. Targeted, we'll hit the button. Everybody signed. We got Kamara, we got Teron Johnson, we got David Njoku, and we got Quez Watkins. So we didn't get Muma, which is okay. I didn't think we were gonna get Muma. So we do add some people there. That's pretty interesting. I'll go for Kyler Elam as well, just because he's a nice young corner. So we'll offer Kyler Elam a nice contract. And then we'll go to maybe a D tackle. Maybe Fadokasi at 31 years old. See what he says to that. And that's probably everybody that we need. We don't need anybody else on this team. We'll go. Everybody signed. We didn't get either of them. Wow, okay. They just said no thank you to us. Very interesting. But we'll simulate to the draft. See how things go. I don't know. I just feel like we need time to develop is the only problem. Getting Alvin Kamara is going to be big because that is a superstar development, 90-plus overall player that's going to help out in simulation and stuff. But we got to go into this draft. I did load in the 2023 draft class, so we've got Bryce Young, we got CJ Stroud, all those guys. All those guys that you're familiar with. So we go into this draft. We should have a decently high pick because we were kind of bad, so we should have a decently high pick for year 3 simulation. Can I see the mock draft and see where everybody's going to go? So mock draft number 5, the Chargers have the first pick, and they're going to take Tyree Wilson. Okay. There's Christian Gonzalez, Will Anderson. Now the fun thing would be to get Will Anderson and then pair him up with Micah Parsons. That would be pretty cool. We have pick number, did I trade my pick? Where's the pick at? Hold on. Oh, we're pick number 4. That didn't even register. If we have pick number 4, they have us taking Christian Gonzalez, which would be a very good pick, but I don't think we need a corner. I don't think we need a corner. I think we're pretty solid on corner. Let me take a look. Let me take a look at what the team looks like. The team, Dallas Goddard went up, and it's a good thing I signed David Njoku because Zach Ertz is gone. Receiver, we definitely could use. Definitely could use a receiver. Jalen Hurts is an X factor, by the way. That's awesome. And so is Justin Jefferson. So we need defensive line. Jordan Fuller is an X factor too. Yeah, corner's fine. We don't need a corner. We don't need Christian Gonzalez. We're good on corner. We're good on safety. We need either a linebacker or a defensive lineman. So either we trade up to get Will Anderson Jr. or we take Tyree Wilson. we have to trade up to the number 1 pick to get Tyree Wilson. Those are probably our 2 best options. Or we could take Jackson Smith and Jigba, I guess. Or Lucas Van Ness. There's a couple different decent options. But we definitely need we probably should go for a defensive player. Because the offense is pretty good. If we're going to go for any offensive player, we should go for Jackson Smith and Jigba. But either Tyree Wilson, who looks amazing, by the way. Speed rusher, looks really, really good. And then obviously Will Anderson Jr. we know is going to be amazing as well. So those are probably my 2 go-to picks. I guess I could see what the Chargers are asking for the number 1 pick. I'd prefer to not trade the number 4 pick, but I guess if we had to, we had to. But if I could snag both Wilson and Wilson and Anderson, that'd be pretty cool. They want pick 4. We could give up Josh Sweat, Jordan Mailata, and David Njoku. Well, I'm not going to do that. So I think we might have to give up pick 4, which is unfortunate. Or I could give up pick 13 next year. This could work. This could work. What about if I give up a 2nd round this year? Trade offer accepted. Okay, so we kept pick number 4, which means we now have the 1st pick, which we're probably going to take Tyree Wilson with, and then the 4th pick, which we're going to move up to the pick 3 to get Will Anderson Jr., and then we can have the best of both worlds. Who had the 3rd pick? Who has pick 3? Pick 3 is held by the Patriots. Okay, so I wonder if they'll just take this. Yeah, they will. Straight up took it. Beautiful. So we can get both Will Anderson Jr. and Tyree Wilson in this draft. So pick number 1, we are going to make our selection, and we are going to draft. I guess we could just take Anderson Jr. right now. Although we shouldn't mess with the mock draft, because that could screw things up. So we're going to take Tyree Wilson with this 1st pick. Welcome to the squad. Only normal development, but he looks like a freak. He really does look like a freak. So Tyree Wilson, welcome to the team. Broncos are up next. They take Bryce Young, no surprise there. And then we have pick 3, and we will take Will Anderson Jr. with this pick. And he is hidden development, so pairing him alongside Micah Parsons is going to be pretty insane. And then we'll skip to our next user pick, which is in the 3rd round. And I'm not sure who's going to be here. Jarrett Patterson, Emmanuel Forbes. Okay, so there's some interesting options here. Zach Evans. How good is Jarrett Patterson looking? Because we can always use offensive linemen. Jarrett Patterson looks pretty good for the value at center at the 3rd round. Looks pretty darn good. So let's skip to, not our next user pick. I was going to skip to the end of the draft. Just take whoever you want in the 4th, 5th, and 6th. So next year we got to remember we don't have a 1st round pick. But it was worth it to get Tyree Wilson and Will Anderson Jr. Now, it sucks that Tyree Wilson doesn't have a development trait, but I think in the end it'll be pretty good. So he ends up being a 75. That's starter material right off the bat. Will Anderson Jr. ends up being an 80. Jarrett Patterson's a 67. They took a 70 overall center or cornerback and a 71 overall receiver. What kind of players were the top of the draft? Was Will Anderson Jr. the best in the class? He was. Then Bryce Young, then Jalen Carter. I probably could have taken Jalen Carter with one of those picks. Maybe that would have been smarter than taking Tyree Wilson, but hey, you never know. We are now into year number 4, the year number 4 simulation. And this is what the team looks like headed into year 4. Jalen Hurts being a X factor is pretty cool. That's going to help us, I hope. And then on defense, Tyree Wilson will start. The defensive line looks a little bit better, but having Will Anderson Jr. and Micah Parsons is going to be good. I think this could be the first year where we make the playoffs. This is year number 4, so we only have one more season after this to kind of figure out what's going to happen with Justin Jefferson's career and Jalen Hurts' career, I guess. But I will see you guys at the end of the season, and hopefully we are in the playoffs for the first time. We've made it to the end of the year 4 simulation, and it looks like our hard work and patience paid off. We finished 14-3. What a turnaround. We were the number 1 seed in the NFC, and we got the bye week. We're playing the Minnesota Vikings in the divisional round. We got to see some of these numbers. I got to see who was who was killing the game. So Jalen Hurts, 4,800 yards, 46 touchdowns to 8 interceptions, and a 70% completion percentage is absolutely insane. That's a phenomenal year from Jalen Hurts. That's MVP numbers right there. Alvin Kamara comes in and has 1,300 yards and 13 touchdowns. That's also a fantastic year. And Justin Jefferson, 1,600 yards on the dot with 17 touchdowns. That's really rare to get 1,600 yards on the dot or just an even number in simulation. That's really hard to do. Dallas Goedert had 146, 4 touchdowns, 843 and 9 touchdowns for Quez Watkins. Jamin Davis, another 100-plus tackle season. So did TJ Edwards. Not surprising there. Tackles for loss, Micah Parsons had 12, Stewart had 12, and Hargrave had 10. Sack leader was Parsons at 10. Josh Sweat had 7.5. Hargrave had 6. Tyree Wilson had 2. Williamson Jr. only had 39 tackles and 1 sack, but that's okay. We're not in the right playbook for him to really dominate. 3 interceptions for Avonte Maddox. I'm glad I brought him back. Micah Parsons, Jordan Fuller, TJ Edwards, and Teron Johnson all had 2. And we are into the playoffs for the first time. We only have 1 more year to go, and we are in the playoffs for the first time. Can we do any damage? Can we do any damage in the playoffs, or will we be first out? Yeah, that's not surprising at all. Whatever. A team that goes 14-3 in the playoffs, losing to a team that not very good, that makes total sense. Total sense, EA. Yeah, whatever. I wanted to say you don't surprise me, but honestly, it does surprise me at how bad they are. I shouldn't be surprised. I should be numb to it at this point, but they don't surprise me. They continue to shock me, continue to stun me at how inept they are at making a good football game, or a good game in general. Season recap. The Cowboys won the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts wins MVP. I told you those were MVP numbers. Jalen Hurts gets an MVP. We don't win any other award except for Coach of the Year, but we get Jalen Hurts an MVP. So it looks like we are pretty darn good. We just don't have the Super Bowl success like the real-life Eagles had this past season. But we are entering the Year 4 offseason with the Year 5 simulation. That's where we'll end after the Year 5 simulation. We have $109 million in cap space, and we've got to pay Justin Jefferson and Jalen Hurts. I thought that we would be able to pick up their... Oh, because I simulated, we didn't get... It probably offered us to pick up our 5th-year options, but I simulated past it. Well, that's bad, because now we got to pay both of these guys a ton of money. I thought that I'd be able to get away with that, with not having to, but we are going to have to pay them. Luckily, they both really want to be here, so that's good. They're both coming back. Jordan Fuller also needs to come back, and he really wants to be here too. But he says no. Jordan, really? You said no to that? I even gave you a decent offer. I can't believe you said no to that. Dallas Goedert is back, so it looks like we're not going to be very active in free agency at all. I just got to pay back all these guys. So we bring back Trayvon Mullen, and that is going to be all that I can afford, because I don't think I'm going to be able to afford AJ Terrell. I can slightly afford AJ Terrell, but he's not even going to accept it. So we're going to lose out on them, on AJ Terrell. That's okay. We are not going to be active in free agency, that is for sure. But we brought back Jefferson and Jalen Hurts, which is the main thing that we needed to do. So I will just take a peek at free agency just to see what we're missing out on. Fred Warner would be epic to bring in. Daxton Hill would be epic to bring in. Of course, this is a great draft, or a great free agency class that we have no money to work with. That makes perfect sense. But this is the final draft class that we will work with, because we're not going into the Year 5 offseason. Once we get through with the Year 5 simulation, which is coming up, then that'll be the end of it. That'll be the end of it. 5 years of Justin Jefferson's career simulated out. I guess this is our last chance to win a Super Bowl. At least we made the playoffs in 1 year, so we can't say that we haven't had any success. We did win 14 games and made the playoffs as the 1 seed. We just kind of disappointed when we got to the playoffs. But that's okay. That's usually what happens. So start the draft. We don't have a first-round pick, so we will skip to our next pick. You know what? I'm just gonna let the CPU do the entire draft. I don't even really care. These guys aren't gonna affect this team that much, since we only have 1 year left. So it's not like getting a bunch of really bad players is gonna affect us too much. We already have an okay team. So let's take a look at who we drafted. Who did we draft? Anybody good? We got an outside linebacker, 72 overall, but everybody else kind of sucks. Not a surprise since we only had a second-round pick. What about the best player in the class? It was a 78 overall running back, so we didn't miss out on much. This draft class was not that great. And we've got one more year. We've got this final year of the What If season, or the What If episode. It looks like Justin Jefferson's having a pretty good career. He's getting his numbers. He is certainly getting his numbers. He's a 94 overall, X Factor. He's getting his usage. Our offensive line's pretty good. The offense in general looks pretty good. And then on the defense, Tyree Wilson didn't go up a development trait, which kind of sucks, but Will Anderson Jr., Micah Parsons, Jordan Fuller. The defense kind of looks a little more rough, at least on the defensive line. But hey, it is what it is. I'll see you guys at the end of the final year, year number 5, and we'll see if we can cap off this video with a Super Bowl. We've made it to the end of 5 years, and we didn't make the playoffs again. So we only made the playoffs in 1 year of the simulation. We got knocked out in the divisional round, even though we were the 1 seed and probably the better team, the best team in the entirety of the NFL. But we'll take a look at the final stats for everybody. Jalen Hurts, 4,700 yards, 31 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Another really, really good year for Jalen Hurts. He's been a very good quarterback for us. 1,200 yards and 15 touchdowns for Alvin Kamara. Very good for him. Justin Jefferson, he's had a fantastic career here in Philadelphia. He just hasn't had the playoff success. 1,100 yards and 11 touchdowns. Quez Watkins had almost 5 yards. You couldn't get a 5-yard little slant route or something, Quez. 9 touchdowns for him. Mike Williams also was a good pickup for us. Defensively, I think the defense is where we got left out. I think we should have done a little bit better. I should have done a little bit better with the defense. 138 tackles, though. Jamin Davis was a very good pickup for us. TJ Edwards was a good player. He had 100-plus tackles every single year, I think. Jordan Fuller was a really good pickup. Micah Parsons was a great draft pick. It was worth trading up to get him because he's balled out. Tyree Wilson has a good sophomore season. 18 tackles for loss, 8 sacks, 62 tackles. Parsons had 9 sacks. Sack leader was Josh Sweat with 10.5. Parsons had 9. Tyree had 8. Interception leader, 4 for Maddox, 3 for a couple other guys. So that is the episode. That is the video. I do want to take a look at the career stats for some of our guys. So Jalen Hurts, in the simulation, the 5 years, he had 23,000 yards, 914, 176 touchdowns to 70 interceptions. That first year was kind of rough. Kamara, we don't care about. And then Justin Jefferson, the other guy, 6,500 yards and 50 touchdowns in the video is absolutely insane. I'd say he had a pretty darn good career. Just not the playoff success, but in real life, he hasn't really had the playoff success either. So I guess it's pretty similar if you ask me. But that is going to do it for this What If video. As always, let me know down below in the comments if you have any other What If suggestions, whether they be more modern like this one, or if they are more towards the early to middle 2000s, even the 2010s, I would be accepting. So I'm still going to come up with some ideas, but if you guys have any other ones you want to see in the future, let me know down below in the comments. As always, thank you so much for stopping by and watching. Hit that like button if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel, join the Juice Club, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.